Welcome to Maza Art Society. My name is Brandon Wing. I'm one of the events organizers, coordinators in this space. Raise your hand if you've never been here before. This is your first. Look at all of you, newbies. No, I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, I'm super grateful that the Maza Collective has chosen Massey as the host for this event. Yeah, so if you don't know, Massey Art Society is an Indigenous-led, Indigenous-owned space, generally prioritizing the work and thinking and artistic production of artists that we like to call over-excluded. So that could be racialized artists, queer artists, and today is particularly wonderful because that's kind of the spirit of what we're here to do today. And then as an Indigenous-led space, it bears mentioning always that we are on the traditional unceded shared territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples, and we take the acts or the kind of iterative process of decolonization or anti-colonialism quite seriously. I like to think about this space as, I don't know how to make that ring go away, figure it out. I like to think about this space as an iteration of anti-colonial practice, and so that is welcoming stories that interrupt the prevailing colonial story of what happens on this land. And so I invite you to think about and act towards how we can interrupt the colonial process that is ongoing on this land, how we can invite the story of the land into our body and our thinking such that we can, do something anti-colonial, radical, loving, justice aligned, all those things, yeah, so other than that, I mean, it's all happening. There's a washroom. We have no paper towels, but I trust you can find a space to buy yourself if you need to. There's some jewelry at the back. I'm not sure about the situation there, but it's for sale. At another point in the show, I'll also be able to sell you some limited quantities of wine and beer, things of that nature. Other than that, enjoy yourselves. Happy to be here. And I will hand the show over to our lovely host.
Hello, everyone. It's so beautiful to see a full room here. We are representing the Maza Collective today, as well as our wonderful readers here. My name is Angelica Solomon. I use they, them pronouns. I'll let y'all introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Sam Pichel. I use she, her pronouns. My name is Karen Shoker, and I use she, her pronouns also.
Yeah. And yeah, I think the Maza Collective kind of started when we met each other in the spoken word scene, which is often a scene just by the nature of a slam that pits you against each other sometimes. And we were just like, poetry should not, first of all, be competitive, but I get why it is and blah, blah, blah. But we were like, we don't want to be the token brown girl or the token brown non-binary person or the token brown queer at the event. We want to do something that's for us, that unites us, that connects us to you, to each other. And that's how this project was birthed. I know for myself, I was journaling this morning, just reflecting on like me and Kieran at a bar like 5 years ago, being like, we need to start a band, or like we need to start a collective or something.
It was called Saffron, South Asian Femmes Radicalizing on.
I don't know, and I remember sitting with friends at Cafe de Soleil, like probably 4 years ago, going, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna create a magazine? Are we gonna create a publication? What are we gonna collaborate on together? And so honestly, when the pandemic hit, we formed a group chat with some other amazing South Asian femmes and non-binary folk across Turtle Island. A lot of people located on the East Coast, a lot of people located in Ontario, which you'll see their videos tonight. And I will be doing tech, and I'm a little frazzle-brained, bouncing back and forth. So these two will be your lovely hosts for most of the evening. And I'll let you introduce more about the videos.
Yeah. So Yeah, as Anne said, these videos kind of came out of a need, a desire, a want to collaborate. So you're gonna be witnessing seven cinephons by the founding five, oh, just kidding, huh? Five cinephons by the founding members of the collective. And then we're gonna have a little intermission. There'll be time to get refreshments, use the bathroom, buy some jewelry that I make, support my art practice. And then we'll hear from some lovely readers. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to include everyone. So they're gonna just be given so much love and a huge shout out later on. But we'll be hearing from a select few people selected from the anthology.
Yeah, thank you to Canada Council that gave us a fat check in 2021. Shout out Sugar Daddy Canada Council. But we received an abundant amount of flow, moolah, that made this event possible, and also created a lot of, dare I say, to everyone, headache. Because suddenly we had to make this come alive, and it took us 3 freaking years. And so today we're just like really here to celebrate, and just, I don't know a lot of you in the audience, but I'm just so thankful. I could almost cry that you came out to support this event and to support our videos. I hope they touch you. I will say inspire you. And I hope they incite pleasure, because that is what Maza means in a lot of South Asian dialects. And so may that be the feeling that we all walk away with, is our joy and our pleasure together.
And just to reiterate, like Fran said earlier, there are so many East Coast poets that are also online who can't be here with us today. So this is us locally, but there's many people tuning in, and without all of our little team, and yeah, now you know what it's like to work with 7 South Asian. That's just not real way.
So I'm just gonna read off and introduce some of the poems. We're gonna start off with Cass Myers. Cassandra Myers, the poem was directed by Cassandra Myers, filmed by Jenna Reed. Then we'll have a poetry film by Kurat Dar. Director of photography is Hamza Amin, and the director is Roha Hena. Then you'll have a video by me, directed by Chantal Franz, and also filmed by Chantal Franz, and also filmed by Divya Nanray and Sonia Doshan. And I'll let you introduce your own videos.
Yeah, so in that, it was a really fun little filming party that we had. And so my directors of all of those things are also the things of Chantal Franz and Sonia Dosanjh, who did an amazing job editing my work because my poem is called A Love Letter to Brown Girl. And then going the other two, similar involvement, I also had Chantal Franz and Sonia Dosanjh. Wow, why can't I say your last name right now? Weird, because that's like one of my best friends. Okay. Film the video, and then we had Bryn Davies produce the music as well. Yeah. Shall we play the video?
Let's do it.
They're pushing the pearls from their clams, and I can't stop wishing. I have gummed up legs, gifted by the god of small slaughters. I want to be sashimied from the waist down, sliced into iced roses with a side of whiskey. I am the inverse of rot. My body petrifies sinews of gum under desk. I grow stalactites where one should grow limbs Inverted church spires is how I pay for my sin of ambition, daring to leech my clenched skeleton across the concrete when my hips splash in a tide of snappings. I roll my scapula and my vertebrae are a bag of fresh water pearls, a clattering skull of marbles in the foam of a riptide. In the video, they lacquered planets from their meat mothers. That's where my calcified grief lives. Ungorge me of this forever sleep. Partition my body like the Red Invasion did my father's country. Section what is pink, salvageable. Give the rest to the lake. Even my blood is granular. It crackles a glass beach when I inhale. I beg for fats to melt like marbled milks between my stale doorways. Make me sticky from stone, a pliable isoacrylic. If my pearled joints are seeds, who will step up to the harvest? Who will pull me from the river and shake out my precious stones?
Dua for the weary. My God says, turn everything into an altar. The toilet bowl, the stranger's knees says, there's no indignity in worship. A prayer is still a prayer even if it only finds your lips while you are seized in pain or need, or quiet desperation says, make a mosque of this body. A prayer is still a prayer even if it only echoes in your limbs rather than over rooftops. My God says, I want for nothing. Save your pretenses for each other. A prayer is still a prayer even if it holds no reverence. If it is screamed or begged or sobbed, says, you don't have to want salvation. You can make a cathedral of the bus stop, the waiting room, your cell phone. A prayer is still a prayer even if it is to a forgotten God, or a dying God, or no God at all. My God says, I know you are a burial ground. I carved your mouth into an empty grave, but a prayer is still a prayer even if it is silent. My God says, swallow forgiveness like a river. Show yourself the mercy of an oasis. Whisper love notes into your palms and make wudu.
I met the goddess in the fierce and loving eyes of a brown woman. I met the goddess in the creases of my mother's smile, sacred canyons that echo with laughter, a wide gap, once the deep dark crevice of her depression. Only the wind brings memories of me, a sweet and lovely baby. My mother tells me how I'm not the only unmothered daughter. Shows me a portrait of my nanny, her bindi, a warm sunrise, garlands of white jasmine marking her absence. Nanny's spirit is cycling, like petals in the wind, to the next realm. But my mother remembers her unmothered mother's mother, crushed under the weight of a peepal tree. From the age of 8, Nani fed her younger siblings. Nani's small hands kneaded the atta, rolled it into a sticky ball, briskly flattened round and round with the belan until perfect, placed it upon the tava, slickened it with ghee, let it sit until the brown freckles rose and puffed like a little belly, hot with air and prayers of thanks. I met the goddess as I washed my hands and feet to worship at the Gurdwara, where Nani walked to daily, where Nani prayed for me daily. I met the goddess by day as my dadi's wise hands, sinewed by years of holding us all together, peel back the thick layers of a pomegranate. She feeds me sweet red grains by the chammachful and always says, खुदा अपने पास रखना बेटा, खुदा से कभी नहीं जुदा होना बेटा. I met the goddess at night in the lap of my dadi, who holds my little hand in the valley of shadows, reading me bedtime Bible stories as we memorize verses that unlock the gates of heaven, her head bowed with a sheet and my young head on her heart, close to dreaming as we whispered prayers of protection into the night. I met the goddess at the ashram, where Ma takes me to give thanks for our long-awaited reunion, and the monkeys steal the fruit of our offerings. I met the goddess as Ma straps Durga Ma on a dark thread to my neck, saying, "This is the mother that never left you." I met the goddess in the holy waters, where Ma brings me when I first return to Mata India, where I dip my feet in Mata Ganga. She's littered with trash, but also many bright orange marigolds, soft sacred glow of mombatis, and the old warm melody of evening prayer songs.
Sister, whose skin is sun-spun gold, honeyed kisses and almond ripe, joy that has warmed our skin for millennia, you, who wears your tapestry of sun silk, dyed like shades of jaw, strong brew or milky cool, skin who others seek to drape across their lonely beds and pin above their darkened mantles. No trophy prize for those who triumph in their melanin. Sister, whose face carries the history of our people, noses telling the triumph of your lineage, bumps and plains that cut through history. We decorate our heritage, koka glittering, 1,000 slivers from a looted Kohinoor, a piercing of pride. You, who weaponizes your eyes like love, sour tamarind whirls beckon them to your lash line. Surma paints the wells of your eyes, and lovers perch on the edge, mesmerized by mango bark and sugarcane. They would rather leap into your irises for fear that you look away. A letter for you, whose presence is profound, ethereal bodies that dance in the world like water, laughter lilting like janjra in courtyards, tor like a burbling creek, follows the curves of your body's softness, whose hair is flora, growing and cascading from temple to toe. In your absence, memories of you are nishani, like the scent of incense once it has unfurled its heat. A chitti for her, Nani and Bibi, Berna and Babia, Mama and Dia, whose gajre chime as they gun and bail, folding flour into fulke, whose fingers are a loom as they polish and braid, weaving soft hair into silken rope, whose tongues sharpen, carving courage from their daughters, translating nakre as self-love, whose will persists as their mendi fades, whose arms soften, hips widen, bellies laugh, who churn salty tears into sweet tea, who hold their daughters with pride. A love letter for you, who finds herself in these words and lives them true.
Cyclically, I have been trying to resolve parts of me, the ones both too brown and not brown enough. I'm high in a hammock and thinking of all the ancestors it took to place me here. Thinking of all the work it took to get me here. High in a hammock, I've been thinking in boxes. The sun's in my skin. Cyclically, I have been trying to erase parts of me, scrubbing dead cells down shower drains. I found a letter I wrote to myself. My New Year's resolutions have always been the same. Be less messy. I still don't quite understand the land I come from. I travel these unceded coast Salish forests, sleep in tents. I shiver in my sleeping bag as the wind hits crescendo. I can't help but to think I'm not supposed to be here. My body not built for this climate. My tongue tastes like mango in my dreams. I do not know how to claim another home. I do not know how to claim a culture other than bong tokes and body mods. Do I shave my hairy legs? In the glacial waters, my bones crawl back into me. I do not drown the parts of myself I want to. I do not drown, though I want to be enveloped in sound waves. The drum reminds my heart to beat. My ancestors help heal parts of me. The wind sings my skin's not a sin. My ancestors tell me it's okay to find light streaming through leaves. It's okay to spend time in our summer skin. Remind me of a time before colonization, when the beauty in our body ran free.
We're allowed to be messy, to embrace boxless spaces, to go back and forth and around again. I don't have to be the perfect daughter. I untie my hammock, thank the tree for supporting me. I wonder how many of my bodies to calculate the roots.
Contributing to this. And today we're going to have about 8 poets reading, 9 poets reading today. 6 of our poets are reading online, and then 3 of our poets are reading in person. So I'm just going to list the poets who are ready to go now online, and yeah, let's hold a great audience from them. We've got Sneha, Fujita, Adam, Manahil, Chris, and Trani. Manahil, sorry. Actually, Sneha, Fujita, Adam, Chris, Manahil, and Trani. All right, yeah, let's go.
Hi everyone. So my poem is titled Apples. Gonna go ahead and read. Apples for Appa. Though I believe hunger, I believe more in fulfillment. The sacred knot of a full stomach. Fistfuls of blueberries picked from a mountain. Its silent spectacle. The whole world being remade and going unnoticed. A whole world can be contained inside a watermelon. You bring me cut fruit from the kitchen, and I know this ritual by memory. First, the sounds of your footsteps, then cold water running over the still fruit. The precise movement of your hands with the knife. The enunciation of fruit against its sharp edge. Every piece falling in a different variable of sound, like plucking tea leaves or a rustling as when you walk through sugarcane fields. On most days, I predict the fruit like a weathercaster will forecast elements, which is to say there are permutations in this exercise. In the year when I was away from home, in a new country, I saw fruits hanging from most trees. All autumn, the red apples falling on a slope near the train station, and everyone walking past its busyness. If you were here, you would study the branches and tell me about the trees. Then, when we would reach home, and I finished preparing lunch, you would begin to wash the fruit to be eaten after the meal. Then fold your hands in praise to God and sleep under the wide incarnation of a sky in the yard. The red apples falling still. The red apples falling still. Thanks so much, everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm Fujita. You guys can hear me? Okay, perfect. I'm an Indo-Canadian poet and illustrator, and I'm currently performing on land that is part of the Treaty Lands and Territory of the Mississauga of the Credit, also known as Toronto Island. I want to give a quick shout out and a thank you to the Maza team. I drew this little thank you note. Today I'll be sharing my poem Anthology, which refers to the Hindu funeral rites for the dead to which my family that involves taking the ashes of a loved one to the Ganga River. That river was also the same one I was bathed in after birth. So I like to think that even though I haven't been home in a decade, I will one day find my way back to that river. I do not pretend to be housing wolves under skin of dirt, no seeds to meet water under layers of farmland. On this side of the Atlantic, protest is 7 o'clock news, white noise to douse conversation. My nanny's English takes flight before two hands press together. Hello is traded for goodbye, as if a Wi-Fi's hesitation could hang, as if she is a match that will light her daughter's passage back, Ghar aa jao, come home. All the women put themselves on mute to hear my poems. The eyes fill Ganga like ash in macrocosm, even if they cannot disperse a word, or my mother tongue stifles on their sacrifice. This elegance is tribute. My lineage is burdened with drowning women. From the 1,500-mile stretch between northern India and the Bay of Bengal, our holiest river is swollen with bodies. Girls they could not marry, could not carry their elements to origin. I will tell you a story in which they are at rest, now carried by remnants and rocked to sleep. I have tasted their suit and struggle. We were birthed from universal womb and have bathed together, from each samskara. My mother once brought me to the riverbeds long before I could walk, to this collective, unbecoming act of cleansing from his fingerprints. How pure we are and no one is looking. Believe me, there is nothing beautiful to make of the burning, of wearing white to the pyre, of an aisle unrolled by flame, of a vow afloat a bitten tongue, of a body reclaimed entirely in backstroke. I will swim home in any language I can cauterize. Aapki kahani ke kanon tak jayegi. Your story will reach many ears until we meet again. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris. I just wanted to dedicate this poem to my BB, who honestly I get to speak to in my poems now that she's passed. So this one is for her. This poem is queer. It is about nature. I write about how digging in the dirt, my hands can never uncover all the roots. My long fingers start to cup, spread, then knead the soil. I see my mom in the kitchen, circa 1990s, making atta, or kara, banging against the steel bowl. It is the same bowl she brought at Woodward's for $1.49, in the days I still was not ready to bloom. I think about how gardening is important in my family. I remember when we would leave my mama's house, we never departed without a plastic grocery bag full of vegetables. My mom's green thumb is unlike anyone else I know, other than my mama's. I see her now at the window with her new walker, pointing out the plants that are not doing well, tapping on the glass to get my dad's attention to water the one in the corner a little more. She can nurse a plant that most would toss in the compost, but she is unable to garden like she once did. And it is only now that I see what Maza pruning, plowing, and planting was for her. This year, applying bandages to my ripped skin, I have thought about roots and ancestors. I come from farmers, jacked on both sides, and I wonder, does that run in our bloodlines? Or is it something that peels away when you settle on land that has been stolen from another? Will my interest in nature be a passing fancy, something that turns into burrowing into my bed for days when my mom is no longer here, so that I can no longer smell dirt and think future? I grow poems. Most of my poems I write are seeds from memory or thought. I am the speaker, even when it's not 100% factual. I dream it onto the page like when my BB poured fables in my ears. Everything I write is brown. It is like misri dal my mom made, and I would call lentil soup everywhere outside my family tree. Like the way my mom calls me Chris in the outside world, or when I'm alone, I roll words learned from books inside my mouth till my tongue stops tripping on them. Then learning to hold them back, sitting at the knees of my BB. Words like ropes tethered to my ankles, words like vine, too fragile to hold, words that talk about me like I'm queer, words that wrap me, colors like I'm queer. If this poem is me, this poem is queer. If this poem is me, this poem is my mom. If this poem is me, this poem is about nature. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much, Maza, for organizing this and just the anthology. It's so nice to see it all come together. Yeah, I hope everyone can hear me okay. Just put it in the chat if you can't. I'm going to be sharing my poem that appears in the Maza anthology, and it's called The Splitting and is after Kaveh Akbar's The Miracle. And the poem is kind of around a sort of surreal, magical look back at the revelation of Surah Al-Alaq, the first surah revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. 534 AD. The illiterate man, unable to fall asleep each night, as the sound of a camel shifting its weight from right leg to left echoes out the closing in of enemy men. He squeezes his eyes shut, his body in on itself, the hand of his wife who rests, not soundly, but rests nonetheless. The illiterate man feels in the dark for words he did not write, for he is neither a poet nor a madman, but a man. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of daybreak. Say it so loud, drown out the camels, the enemies, the screams stirring within. Daybreak, the moment of splitting, a split of this city from the one across the way. Inside the illiterate man's house, the split between asleep and awake, between fabled calm and real panic. The elusive promise shakes. His wife shakes in her sleep. The illiterate man recites, say I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind. Words of protection. Back through the city riding on sand waves in the pre-dawn breeze. The squeeze before the split. Still not a poet nor a madman. Still a man on the verge of a split. Listen, the echo has faded. The only words a sedate music. The illiterate man asleep. Thank you.
Everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Tharni Balachandran. I'm calling from the traditional territories of the Lekwanigan speaking peoples in Victoria, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island. And this poem is called Summer with My Cousins, Scarborough, 1992. My sisters and I are lounging through a hot summer with our cousins in the suburbs. We ignore the sunshine outside and hole up in the basement, eating popsicles and playing cards and waiting to be fed. At breakfast, my grandfather eats Fruit Loops with me. I stare into the bowl and think about how his brittle nails look like cereal. My aunts take their pills, one by one, blue and white, red and green. They look like candy to my 7-year-old brain. There are hundreds of them, maybe thousands, too many to count. In the afternoon, my mother makes batches of our favorite snack, skinny coils of deep fried dough spiced delicately with coriander and cumin seeds that we just can't get enough of. At dinner, my cousins fight over who gets to eat the fish's eye because our parents tell us it will make us smarter. I look at the fish lying on the table and decide that I am smart enough. My aunt supervises me eating with a wooden spoon at the ready. My mother tells her, we don't hit children who don't eat, but she doesn't need to worry about me. At home, I am a picky eater, white bread, sugar sandwiches, and Kraft dinner. But here I will eat everything my aunts cook, no matter how spicy it is or what it looks like. Everything is delicious. Our visits are all snacks and laughter. My father finds my cousin's scrunchie between the couch cushions and says, here you go, I found your munchie, and we laugh until happy tears roll down our cheeks. This was before, when I was the only one allowed to laugh at my parents. Before anyone at school tells me that my favorite snack looks like worms. Before my grandfather dies, and I see my father cry for the first time. Thank you very much.
For this next portion, and then they'll just come up in the order I introduce them. So we have 3 lovely poets joining us in person, and they will be Rajni, Kiran, and Hari in that order. So can we just give a big round of applause?
Hi, everyone. I'm Roshni. I'm a poet and interdisciplinary artist, I think. And I have one poem for you here today that is called To Make Jaw Out of Misery. I weave threads of saffron through the lacerations that split themselves open upon your departure, sewing myself back together with yellow stained fingers. If there's a direct translation for fatherless in our mother tongue, I was never made aware. My needle, a sliver of cinnamon bark, clumsily pushes through my skin in a desperate act of reunification. Threats do not slice cleanly like a knife. They tear haphazard wounds into my very toughest parts. I rub a salve of sugar and water along the puckered, barely mended bridge of stitches to speed up this process. I wait. A cold compress of black tea bags should bring down the swelling. The harder I press, the more I forget your accent carrying my name. I wait for an infection that never comes, instead slowly healing around the loss of you. With my first hesitant sip of moving on, the yearning in my chest begins to dissipate. Droplets trickle down my chest, settle into that place beneath my heart that does not love but accepts. I keep swallowing, my fiery throat bobbing unevenly until the nausea passes.
Hey everyone, my name is Kiran, and I'm a journalist by trade. I'm a lover of languages by heart. I came here some 10, 12 years ago from India as an international student, so it's been a while trying to find myself. Am I Indian or am I Indo-Canadian? But I still carry my language with me. So the poem I've written, it's in Punjabi, and I welcome you to DM me, email me, reach out to me if you didn't understand, if you're curious about the phrases that I've used. It's called Deep Waters, and it's an ode to all the women that I've seen in my life, but many others who are married, who sleep with their husbands, but they've yet to felt that pleasure of their unions. सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां इस पिंजरे चों निकलां दी कदे आस जगाई बैठियां सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां मीरा माही मन दा मिठा मोहना ओदा मुखड़ा नी पर ओदे नाल दिल ना फूलां कदे ना सुनदा दुखड़ा नी मापियां दा ओ सरवण पुत मापियां दा ओ सरवण पुत पर मैं उकताई बैठियां सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां मन तां मैं मार लवांगी मन तां मैं मार लवांगी तन दी अगन नूं कौन बचाए अखां चों अंगियारे करदे होठां नूं अज कौन छुपाए अधखड़ उमरे इमें की ही आस लगाई बैठियां सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां. These are my favorite lines. शीशे सामने बैठा जब मैं कुछ लीकां कुछ थोड़े दिसते. When I sit in front of the mirror, I see some lines, I see some white hair. शीशे सामने बैठा जब मैं कुछ लीकां कुछ थोड़े दिसते. सुर्ख गुलाबी बुल जो पावन शोर नहीं दिसते नाले दिसते. उसदी अग्नि साड़ ना देवे दीप बुझाई बैठियां सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां. लगदा है सुपने अंदर इदां जिंदगी सारी जी लैनी है किसी ना सुनना दुख सुख मेरा खबर तां खबर ही की लैनी है मेरा मन भी टोहेगा कोई मैं भरमाई बैठियां सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां. डर लगदा है किते लोक ना आखण घुंड चुकाई फिर बैठियां दो दिल हुई मैं अदम हुई जग हसाई बैठियां सोने रंगे झुमकियां विच अरमान छुपाई बैठियां. Thank you.
Wow, what a night. So probably one of the best ways I've spent a Monday evening. So really appreciate everyone here. I have a phone, but before that, I wanted to quickly say a few words. My phone's pretty short. First of all, Macy Arts, wanted to really thank Macy Arts for opening up this space. I love especially Brandon and his land acknowledgements. I love coming to the space and really want to recognize all the work Macy does in terms of promoting healing through the community, healing through the arts. So thank you, Macy Arts. And secondly, Maza. Thank you for, first of all, having the courage to build a community and having the courage to bring that community and occupy the space. And secondly, for the compassion and the selflessness you folks have given in terms of dedicating so much of your own energy into manifesting this collective. So as a South Asian, I really appreciate that. And in the spirit of manifestation, I also would like to congratulate you on all the future success that Maza has already achieved. So my poem is called Mango River, and it's a visual poem as much as it is a sound poem. So I would definitely encourage everyone to check out the anthology and see the actual river meandering. You might see a lagoon, you might see a waterfall. I'll leave that to your interpretation. But this evening, I'll focus on just the sound qualities. So if I could maybe invite everyone to close their eyes to elevate the experience, folks at the end of the camera as well. Up to you. If not, no worries. With that, I'll start. Mango River. A cable caresses a baby's neck. The uterine walls panic into seizure. A turbulent birth ends in silence, for the heart couldn't take the anesthesia. A memory cries when she cannot latch onto the breast. 2 grams crushed make up for the 2 acres we lost in the migrations. A man severed from the motherland. Within me lives the daughter my mother was told she couldn't have. A heavy river, I am always bifurcating, butchering, cleaving, hacking, splitting, slashing, slitting, gashing, crushing, tearing, ripping open a succulent mango from the east. Gluttonous syrup licks my sticky thumbs. Spare me your civilized ways of tasting nectar. This is Mango River. Thank you.
It's just such a beautiful evening. I'm so grateful for all the poets that came together, made this happen. In our own collective, there's 7 of us 3 here, and Franz, me, and then there's also Cass, Guruk, Namita, and Sova, who can't be here in this physical space today, who are also listening in and made this happen for us. So for those co-founders, I'm so grateful. Yeah, this happened because of us, and it feels really good. It feels really good that we went and made our own pie and ate it together instead of having to fight for one measly slice. For the other poets who contributed to the anthology, I just want to give them thanks right now for being here or for contributing. We have Akshi, Archana, Kiran, Chris, Manahil, Marilyn, Mehnaz, Meena, and Gitanjali, Pari, Pujita, Roshni, Ruby, Shivani, Sneha, Tarani, Adam, and Zara. And then all of us too. Yeah, so thank you so much. And also, of course, like, thank you, Canada Council of the Arts, for paying us to do this. Thank you so much for everyone who contributed. Massey Arts, thank you for hosting. But Franz is selling some cool stuff over there. If you want to have like Franz's drip, I think that's what the kids say these days. If you want Franz's drip, go buy some shit back there. And we have lots of time and space to hang out here. We've got some beverages, so come hang out, chat, and yeah.